No Game, No Life, Volume 4, Chapter 3. Ocean, the ocean floor metropolis where Siren and Dampier lived in symbiosis. An insular nation, built on local production for local consumption, with almost no trade with other countries. Since it was at the bottom of the sea, it was impossible to visit by any sensible means. However, here was a group who had come by means that were not sensible. Jabril's shift after parting the sea had brought them to a vista overlooking all of Oceania, at a depth of about 200 meters, when the sea water was displaced and then replaced. Well, that's how it goes, eh? The Shrine Maiden, groaning behind Sora, turned beyond the air membrane created by Jabril. There the gravel and stones of the ocean floor swirled as if in a blender, raging madly. But however violent Jabril's magic might have been, the Covenants disallowed her from exercising force of arms. If she was able to execute it, it meant that it did not imply harm to anyone else, supposedly. Are you sure this isn't directly attacking the city or hitting anyone? Yeah, the 10 Covenants are absolute. It's fine, I think, probably. Sora thus reassured, the tide calmed, and the gravel settled. The seawater clearing said, Huh, this is pretty cool. Pretty. At the majesty of the sea spread below, Sora and Shiro each shared their thoughts. In contrast to Sora's fairy tale, pastoral image, it was actually a rather imposing metropolis. Countless structures stood in rows, apparently built of stacks of seafloor stone. The stone walls, glistening the color of pearl, were tiled with thin slices of coral and shells, creating a brilliant display of color. Perhaps utilizing the buoyancy of the water, there stood complex arches, surely impossible to build on land, as well as buildings conspicuously shaped like inverted cones. And then Sora thought, why isn't everything blue? Only the blue light of the sun was exposed to penetrate to the ocean floor, but this question was answered by Shiro. Brother, it must be that. What Shiro pointed to, floating through the sea, were countless fluorescent jellyfish and seaweed clumps, street lamps, utilizing natural bioluminescence. Oh, so the city illuminated itself. What the hell? Everyone keeps saying they're idiots, but this is a pretty nice city. Haha, thank you, said Plum with a bitter smile full of resignation and self-deprecation. We're the ones who built and managed it, you know. Ah ha ha. Unable to find words, Sora turned his gaze behind him. Jabril, Izuna, and Steph all looked around curiously, and the Shrine Maiden seemed wholly relaxed. And yet there was... King Sora, sir, just what is the meaning of this? Apparently having had his ears screwed up by the shift after all, Eno uttered his query through frequent fits of slight convulsing. Just like you asked, it seems like Izuna and the Shrine Maiden are fine. You better tell Jabril thanks, you know. Ah, that's right as rain, I suppose. But would you still allow me a word? Looking at Sora, Shiro, and Jabril one by one, the Shrine Maiden gave a deep, deep sigh. Could you lot use at least a little common sense? Huh? What's your problem? Offshooting of the dog family of the cat order, wherein lies your objection? The trio formed the perfect counterexample to common sense peered at her together. One of the few sensible members of the party, Steph, raised her voice in the Shrine Maiden's defense. Breaking through the sea to approach, no matter how you look at it, it could scarcely appear more hostile. Just how do you expect to be led to the Queen at this rate? We're the ones who were invited. They're the ones taking forever. We hurry to them in this urgent situation, or their fate hangs by a thread. In consideration of Jabril's effort, they ought to greet us with a dance of appreciation and welcome, right? The Shrine Maiden and Izuna, who possessed the senses to detect Sora's complete and utter bullshit, frowned with half-open eyelids. The remaining werebeast, Eno, was still writhing, covering his ears. Ah, I wouldn't worry about that. Look, even as Plum said this, everyone looking in the direction she was pointing saw countless shadows flying out of Ocean and heading their way in a big hurry. They had the tails of fish, covered in scales from the waist down, and the appearance of human women from the waist up. Other than that, having fins where their ears should have been, they didn't look that different from the manatees. The barest excuses for a piece of cloth covered their breasts, while their necks and arms were unduly ornamented. They appeared, indeed, just as in fairy tales, to be mermaids. All right, so that's Siren. Great. Good thing it's like I pictured. Sora, having been entirely ready to snap if the deep ones from the Cthulhu mythos had showed up, was relieved. But then, look, everyone's making such a flurry. We'll be reprimanded after all. Steph whispered nervously as the siren swarmed right up to the membrane. And then, uh-huh. Steph's eyes popped wide. The sirens gyrated, undulating their bodies to and fro, showing off their brilliantly sparkling scales. Ornaments of coral and pearl flashed radiantly against their smooth, white skin. No consistent rhythm was detectable in the mermaids' movements. They gracefully interwove themselves through schools of multicolored fish, illuminated by the glowing jellyfish and the blue sunlight. The sight was fantastic enough to captivate everyone's attention, so it probably was exactly as he suggested. Brother, their dance of appreciation and welcome. I guess so. See, Steph? It's all cool, right? What boundlessly tolerant creatures. Eventually, one siren emerged, decorated in a manner gaudy even among such company. She beat her hands around and flapped her mouth for some reason. Steph looked on, puzzled, but Sora produced the answer immediately. We're in Jabril's air bubble. She's in the water. Her voice must not be able to reach us. Indeed. I'll go explain things and get some blood while I'm at it. I'll use that fuel to cast an underwater breathing spell on all of you. So after that, please dispel this wall of air. With that, Plum set off at a trot, broke through the air membrane, and swam into the water, watching her back. Even having said that, we are all the saviors come to rescue their race from destruction. Who would throw this sort of welcome after seeing such havoc right before their city? Jabril and the Shrine Maiden whispered, gazes sharp, at which Sora smirked. Sirens, huh? Are they really that stupid, or... Hi, guys. Tee-hee-hee. I'm Amelia, the stand-in for the Queen. Everything's fine. They were stupid. Sora managed to swallow this frank opinion. The siren would come right away after Jabril dispelled the wall of air, this Amelia chick, if you took her at her word, and frighteningly enough, it did seem to be that truth. Was, in fact, the effective agent plenipotentiary currently leading Siren. Beneath her rich greenish hair slid sensual, fair skin. She had big, bright blue eyes. Coral jewelry adorned her entire body, but tastefully. This must have been the mermaid's formal dress. But what was inside? Thank you so much for coming all the way here. Oh, goodness. There's no way I can express this feeling except to kiss you, right? Tee, right? Nah, let's just say it's the thought that counts. It wasn't even a question of formality at this point. Strictly speaking, she was speaking amenity. But it was weird through and through. As Sora and Kel rolled their eyes, still Amia went on swimming pell-mell all around them. Talk of you two has spread all the way down to the bottom of the ocean. The miracle king who saved humanity. They said you were handsome, but now I see your face and you're just my type. And you're so hot and squee, right? Ah, I see. It was the first time a girl had ever told him he was handsome. Come to think of it. But, strangely, Sora wasn't happy at all. Aha! Your voice is sexy too. I'm so wet. After all, we are in the ocean. As he silently looked over to Plum, the Dampier quietly returned his gaze, shaking her head sadly. With no sign of having noticed this, Amelia went on with a bubbly smile. Oh yeah, we're preparing a party for you. You want food or you want me? Whew. Twisted the seductress Amelia. Ready or not, behind Sora, Eno seemed to be heating up in more ways than one. Take me to your queen first. Save the hospitality for after we wake her up. At Sora's curt dismissal, Eno somehow couldn't believe his ears. But Amelia said, not seeming to take it personally, Oh, so you're serious, just like they said. But you know what? Amelia kinda admires that. Uh-huh. I see. Well, okay, then let's go. Sure, let's go. I'm gonna swim to the castle. Follow me. Follow me. Tee-hee-hee. Guided by Amelia, Sora's party descended from the vista in the direction of Ocean. Eno whispered in Sora's ear, Sir, I've been impressed at how promptly you managed to refuse. Huh? Well, even we werebeasts have our senses limited under the sea, so I cannot ascertain your inner thoughts, sir. But to show no hesitation when faced with such an enticing lady, sir, you have self-control that exceeds all imagination. His eyes half-lidded, Sora spat back at Eno. Gramps, are you out of your head? I may be a virgin, but what am I supposed to feel for that? Let's go, Shiro. Leaving Eno behind to gape, Sora grabbed Shiro and headed driftingly for the city. Upon entering Ocean, they were greeted with ear-splitting cheers. Every siren was bursting with smiles, dancing, seducing, playing off-tempo music. Their words, it perhaps not being necessary for them to speak humanity, were complete mystery, but their welcoming intent came through. Scattered here and there amongst these bustling sirens could be seen some girls who appeared to be Dampiers. Their expressions, though, in contrast to the sirens, tended to resemble Plum's. With miserable smiles, their tired demeanor told Sora and his crew, thanks for coming all this way. The sirens provided a stable supply of blood, and the Dampiers helped the queen reproduce. This symbiotic relationship had worked perfectly well until the queen went to sleep, and was now as a candle in the wind, and yet... Hey, why are these guys so cheerful when they're a step away from extinction? Indeed, the Dampiers aside, the sirens showed no sign of melancholy whatsoever. What? I didn't tell you? They don't understand it. The foolishness of sirens reaches the status of legend. Siren has become a synonym for fool in the idioms of every race's language, and in fact, it even used as a verb in some. Sora's party walked the ocean floor as they followed Amelia. Underwater, ambulation, confused as to whether it was swimming or walking, Shiro proceeded on Sora's arm. As for Eno, Izuna, and the Shrine Maiden, what would you expect of werebeasts? They had already figured out how to move in these circumstances, and were advancing with languorous, bouncing strides. Meanwhile, Jabril, despite being underwater, was still flying. Hey, so humanity is supposed to be beneath the globally recognized race of idiots? It was true that right now the ones most obviously struggling were Sora and Shiro, but still. Before I met you, my masters, I would have answered yes, but perhaps this would be a better way to put it. They are ranked one above humanity purely by virtue of having special nature. They are the race that represents the extreme of stupidity. Plum followed the smirking Jabril with an ephemeral grin. They have no other skills than to sleep, screw, and eat and play, you see. You know how fish contain things that make you smarter, but fish themselves are stupid? It's a mystery. The world really doesn't have any races that get along, does it? Sora thought with distant eyes. Well, when you consider that the de facto agent plenipotentiary is her. Oh no, Her Highness Amila is actually far and away one of the best, if only by virtue of being able to speak the Humanity tongue. She was one of the best? Sora glanced at Plum compassionately. Plum accepted his look with one of infinite, long-suffering forbearance. Well, we're in the same boat as they say. The plan and methodology for you to help us, as well as the idea of intervening in the Queen's dreams itself, were all concocted by us. They don't even have the concept of work. About the only thing they're good at is mating. Ha ha ha. Must be rough, kid. Guided by Amila, they entered a building that was tall even by Ocean standards. While being guided, suddenly Sora mentioned something that had crossed his mind. Speaking of mating, Jabril, sirens have kids with other men of other races, right? Yes, that is so. Are there any half-breeds, exceeds crossing races? It has been long since Sora and Shira had come into the world, but in fantasy worlds there were often half-elves and stuff. But he didn't remember hearing of any such half-breeds here. That was as it should be, Jabril declared. There are not. The Exceeds do have some similarities in appearance, but their souls are completely dissimilar. There was that soul again. This entity that had not been demonstrated in Sora and Shira's old world, apparently, was common sense in this one. It must be like chromosomes, Sora decided on his own as he continued. But sirens mate with other races, right? So doesn't that make half sirens? No. What is born is strictly a siren. Even so, you're using two souls? Just as Dampiers obtained soul from blood, sirens obtain souls from mating and transform it to create copies of themselves. It is because this is less efficient that the reproduction of ordinary living things that their partners suck dry. Still pretty sick. I wonder, strictly speaking, with reference to literature, it is said to be a pleasure that ascends to the heavens. You mean the ascend part literally, don't you? And it's a one-way trip. But alright, in any case, this is why half-breeds, children inheriting the traits of different races, cannot be born. Sora pondered. I guess it's because they're indivisible that Tet designed them as 16 seeds. Jabril, is there something on my face? Sora noticed Jabril staring at him. I believe I mentioned that Flugo are not living things. Yeah, you said they're living beings or something. Therefore, our souls are amorphous. It would theoretically be possible to intake a bit of soul through copulation and synthesize it with my own to form a child into definite shape. It would only be virtual, mind you, but in a sense, it would be possible to have a child of an individual of another race. I'm not really seeing what you're getting at. Lowering her head reverently, moving her halo to the back of her head, folding her wings, a posture of loyalty shown only to her lord, Jabril clasped her hands together as if in prayer and spoke. All you must say is, bear my child, and you, humble servant Jabril, will be ready at any time to become great with Jabril. STFU. You. Jabril found herself forcibly silenced by one sharp word from Shiro. But their guide was oblivious. We're here! Sora raised his head at the high-pitched voice that subsequently rang out. Here we are! This is the chamber of the Queen! Amila put her hand on the door, slowly pushed it open, and light spilled out. The chamber of the Queen was quite expansive and draped with pink ceiling curtain and carpet. On the walls, seaweed-emitting soft light was woven in regular patterns to illuminate the room. Stained glass canopied the high ceiling, which allowed what sunlight reached as far as the ocean floor into the room. But even the faint light seemed unnecessary, due to the giant crystal on the throne below that emanated a presence that was almost blinding. No, it only was beautiful and clear enough to look like a crystal. It was actually a mass of ice. All who laid eyes on it were lost for words. Solemnly, or at least their or at least doing her best to attempt solemnity. Amila announced, "May I introduce the Queen of Siren, Her Majesty, Queen Lorelei." Inside the ice, a beauty slept, blue hair rolling like the sea, draped over her young, almost translucent face. Her white limbs, decorated in dazzling gold, faded to seductive scales from the thighs, reflecting the light that illuminated the room. They seemed to sparkle with a rainbow. The queen, wrapped in light and gold inside a coffin of ice, had her eyes quietly closed on the open shell throne. At the back of the speechless party, Plum spoke with Amila. "Oh, Your Highness, Amila, it's about waking Her Majesty, but King Sora and the others here say they want to all try the game together. Is that okay?" At Plum's words, Amila briefly made a face, but replied, "What? I don't mind. Is it okay with you?" "Yes. So, I'd like about 30 assistants to help compile the rite." Amila nodding. Okay. Then I'll go to the things to wake up the queen, alright? Since you're all going to do magic, you'll need blood too. Won't you? Teehee. Mila's going to get some more girls for you, so please do your best, Plum. Right. Okay, then. I'll be out to set the rite, ready to enter the Queen's dreams. With a bow, Amila and Plum made their exits from the room. Seemingly oblivious to the exchange, the rest of the party stood staring at the ice in which the Queen slept. "Well, what a comely lady," Steph went off heatedly as if she'd forgotten that they were of the same gender. In fact, the Queen's alluring figure made not only Inu, but even Jabril, the Shrine Maiden, and Azuna all gawk entranced. But, you think she's all that pretty, Shiro? I don't know. What? As Sora and Shiro muttered quizzically together, everyone else gaped at them. Are you two out of your minds? What would you call her if not beautiful? Hey, you're the one who needs to chill. I'm just saying she's nothing to get all worked up about. Sora groused and knitted his brow, annoyed by Steph's outburst. He looked at the Queen again. Lorelei, the mermaid princess sleeping in a coffin of ice. Her appearance was, sure, pretty nice, but Sora could clearly assert she wasn't all that. It wasn't like, for example, Jabril's violent beauty capable of silencing works of art, nor did it resemble the divine, bewitching attractiveness of that Shrine Maiden had displayed under the moonlight. It didn't have Azuna's innocent cuteness, not to speak of. "Brother?" Addressing the searching expression of his sister beside him, Sora declared, "Yeah, not even worth comparing. I mean, even Steph's better looking than that." You can't appease me with such transparent flattery." "No, what would be the point of trying to flatter you now?" Behind the incredulous Sora, Ino quietly patted his shoulders. "King Sora. Never mind. It's quite all right." As he continued in a gentle tone, "There is no cause for concern. Impotency can be cured. I recommend soft-shell turtle stew." "That's not how it is. Don't slander me." Shouting and jabbing a finger at the ice as if to say, "I mean," Sora howled, "stop it and think about it. I'm not saying she's ugly, but is she anything to get worked up over when she's got the Shrine Maiden, Jabril, Azuna, and Shiro? Our beauties are literally off the charts." Stephanie, still glared as if joking at something sad, but at Sora's words, Jabril and the Shrine Maiden alone came around. "Indeed, my master is wise. That is the special characteristic of Siren I mentioned earlier." "Huh?" The Shrine Maiden and Jabril averted their eyes. From the ice, and Jabril continued. "Sirens, though lacking the traits of physical excellence and magic, are able to survive, principally thanks to their one weapon, on display here. Namely," she took a breath, "as long as they are in the sea, they can attract anything. Siren is a race long beloved of the sea. The reason that they live in the sea and cannot leave the sea is that in their bodies they possess a plethora of spirits, Water spirits capable of attracting any other spirit. Oh? Oh, it's like that. That makes sense, nodded Sora and Shiro, as it finally came together. How Siren, who before the Ten Covenants reproduced by devouring the men of other races, was able to survive without leaving the ocean, and without possessing outstanding powers or magic. In other words, they just had to charm potential threats. That explained how they were able to swim with the schools of fish, and how they were able to withstand the water pressure of the deep sea without magic. And this charm we're talking about isn't a magical charm? It's not. It's simply a matter of the flow of spirits, a sort of magnetism, the work that works on spirits. It is simply a feature of their race. Under normal circumstances, this would be no matter for concern, but glancing at the queen and looking away again, the fish woman seems to have a quality of spirits that is truly exceptional, Jabril muttered, apparently unnerved by the fact that she could not escape the queen's effects. Likewise, even having known that, the shrine maiden scratched her head with a look of weariness. But then, murmured Jabril. On the other hand, why does it not affect you, my masters? Jabril, you said we don't have spirits. Yeah, you said, like all living things in this world, have spirits in their bodies, but Shiro and I don't. When they first met, they'd let Jabril check Sora's body for spirits as proof they were from another world. If it was a magnetism that worked on spirits, it should have come as no surprise that it didn't work on Sora's Shiro. But no, you have a soul. You undoubtedly have spirits. They must simply be unknown to me or somehow evade my detection. But then why would you be unaffected? Let's see. Jabril mumbled on, the object of her interest seemingly have shifted back to Sora and Shiro, as she surveyed them with sparkling eyes. Meanwhile, Ino suggested offhandedly, could it not be more simply explained in terms of King Sora's virility? You shut up, old fart. You're just a dick-thinking horn dog, whereas I'm a model of reason. Thanks for waiting. Amila and Plum burst back into the chamber. They seemed to have finished preparing the rite to enter the queen's dreams or whatever. This having been accomplished, the two approached the ice in which the queen slept. Okay, now we're going to use a spell Plum and everyone made to take you into the queen's dreams. Her disarming smile unchanged, Amila continued casually. Everyone who's going to wake up the queen, wager everything by the covenants, and then touch the crystal, okay? What? What are you saying? The one who broke the silence was Steph, but Amila replied vacantly. Huh? Is there a problem? Of course there's a problem. What are you saying? Wager everything? In other words, bet all your property, status, rights, and life. Literally everything? Why do we need to do that? I thought you were the ones who asked us to come save you. What? Plum, didn't you explain it to them before you came? I'm sorry. Plum desperately apologized to Amila as she put her finger on her dismayed face, but they were interrupted. Cool it, Steph. The one who's confused is you. Sora interceded, calmly and plainly. At his improbable composure, Steph turned back and looked around at everyone. Sora and Shiro, the Shrine Maiden, and Jabril, even Ino and Izuna, all looked as if the situation was obvious. They called us here to beat the Queen's game and wake her up. Third of the 10 Covenants. Play for wagers that each agrees are of equal value. The Queen set up the game when she went to sleep, by the Covenants saying, make me fall in love with you if you dare. So if we want to win the Queen's love, we have to put our money on the table, right? Yeah, that's the hottie for you. Not only is your face handsome, but your brain's handsome too. Amila nodded with a girly laugh, but the Shrine Maiden and Shiro smiled, subtly, thinly, and Sora was the only one who'd noticed. But Steph, completely missing the subtle exchange, continued as if unconvinced. That's absurd, she insisted, her voice swelling even more shrilly as she went on. They're the ones who are in trouble. Why should we bear such risk when we came to save them? But Sora still took it in stride. Plum said meddling in someone's feelings and dreams would normally be disallowed by the Ten Covenants, but we can do it because the Queen allows us. But her consent only goes as far as the game, i.e., if we don't start the Queen's game first, we can't use our spells, and of course, we can't wake her up. So that ante of the Queen's demanding for us to play her, looking at Plum and Amelia, Sora clowned. It's like, if you want my love, you better be ready to give everything up. Right? Steph was stunned into silence, and the faces of the rest of each assumed their own shocked expressions. Amelia alone tore into Sora's with a surfeit of praise. That's right! Oh, I have you instead of the Queen. Sora ignored the boisterous Amelia. Well, we've got a spell that will make the Queen fall in love for sure, so I guess it's fine. Yes, I guarantee it. Leave it to me. But what if for some reason the spell doesn't work? Steph was still unable to shake off her unease. Then you can just leave it to Amelia. Amelia decisively declared. Even though the Queen can play the game, she'll still be asleep if she wins, and Amelia is the one in charge of her stuff. But if something goes wrong, I'll just give it all back to you, so there's no risk. Wait, we can't count on... But Sora cut her off. Sure, no problem then. So shall we begin the game? This is weird, Steph thought to herself. Something about this was definitely off. In the first place, why would such a high-risk condition only be brought up at this point? Why do they think nothing of it? Steph wondered, looking at Sora. It wasn't like him to go along with such a fishy game. But Steph looked around again, seeing that no one else seemed to think anything at all of it. She closed her lips tightly. What's this? What's going on? Now then, began Plum as she started explaining the rules. Everyone, please swear by the covenants that you wager everything and touch the ice. Then I'll cooperate with everyone downstairs to deploy the rite and magically lead you into the Queen's dreams. Then I'll be coming along to help you with the cheat, okay? As Plum steadily wove together the rite, she elaborated. Since the dream, the situation can be anything you want. Your representative. It's King Sora, right? King Sora's imagination will form the foundation to build the situation in the Queen's dream. Regardless of the situation, there is only one victory condition. Continuing on Plum's theme, Sora took over. If somebody makes the Queen fall in love and wakes up, they win. And if they get rejected, they lose. And the losers are out of the game and have to pay up everything they bet. That's what we're swearing by the covenants, right? Yes, but I know, Sora interrupted. We've got Plum's cheat. Even if we lose, we can get it all back from Amelia, right? Relax. Sora delivered this with a bold, yet to Steph somehow off grin. With this crew under these conditions, there's not a chance in a million we'll lose. So let's get this on. Okay. Then, King Sora, please imagine a situation, and at her words, Sora imagined the single game you had to think of when it came to a romance genre. Please make your declaration. Asceste. Sora, Shiro, Steph, Jabril, the Shrine Maiden, Ino, Zuna, and Plum, together, the instant they said it, found their consciousness going white. That's where I'm going to stop for now. My throat's getting a bit sore, and this is quite a long recording in some ways. At least starting off for me it is. And I guess I'll do the next one tomorrow. I may wait a few days. I'm being quite hasty on how fast I'm doing these, but in a way I'm almost excited to do these, and I'm glad I'm getting a chance to do these, just so that other people can enjoy this story as I enjoy it. Like I said, everything I'm reading here is the first time reading it, so this is definitely kind of a strange situation. It seems like something's up with Sora. I wonder if he is being affected by the spirits, because the smile being off just... It seems like there's something off here. Although for me, my radar is not like flashing off the hook or anything. I guess we'll see in the next part what is up. Maybe it'll take another chapter. I'm not sure how long this game's gonna go. I wouldn't be surprised if it took a couple chapters. Well, anyways, I suppose I'll see you guys next time, and I hope you enjoy these recordings as much as I enjoy making them. So, Bye.